Hello again, everyone. It's Vince Four from TradeWinds.com, and this is our update for July 12th, 2017. Let's take a quick look at today's markets. Well, we saw a lot more upside today. Janet Yellen's dovish comments certainly helped out with that as the Dow hit a new all-time high, 21,531 here on the futures market. The Dow ended up 123 points, while the S&P 500 was up 17, now firmly above that 20-period moving average, while the Nasdaq gained another 67 points. So this one had closed above the other day, certainly had follow through today. That's a good sign. And the Russell was up 11 as well and is back above that moving average as well. Bonds today bouncing as well, up 85 cents. And gold gaining about 5 points today as well. Now crude, it was higher as well. And I want to zoom in here and show you something here. So we did end up higher by about 1%. But as you can tell, that gap, first of all, was higher, much higher than the close. And the high of the day was much higher. It has faded quite a bit since then. So I'm not totally convinced we've turned the corner yet. Couple reasons. One, we have not made a new high. So, you always want to see a turnaround, a higher low and a higher high. We have the higher low. We don't have that higher high just yet on the daily chart. Also, if we look at the weekly, this looks a lot more bearish than it does bullish. We have that 20-period moving average sloping lower, momentum's to the downside, and we're just barely hanging on to these previous lows. If we bust through them, I think we retest 26 on the monthly here. Yeah, we're holding that moving average so far. We're sitting right on it, but if we break below it, look out below. So I'm not convinced quite yet that the downside is over for crude. Now, one of the basics of technical analysis that you should all know how to use and identify is support and resistance. It's really, really helpful, not just from the perspective of understanding where you might run into it, but you can also use it for support when confirming an entry to a trade. You can also use it as a target for exiting a trade, but just understanding where support resistance really is and how to identify weaker areas of support resistance compared to the stronger areas is very important. And I want to use the chart of USD CAD, and I'm actually going to go to the monthly time frame. This is a perfect example of an extremely strong area of support and resistance. So any pivot point you can use, you can draw a line on. So you can take a simple trend line tool and draw a line. So for example, if we go from this peak to this peak, for example, okay, we're drawing that trend line across these high pivots. Now, if we were to extend that line at some point, that line would be either support or resistance, okay? So trend lines are future levels of support and resistance. So if we draw this one down across these areas here, okay, you can see that you have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 areas. And then the fifth one here, if I extended it out, that actually became support. So before, they were upside resistance. So we were flushing lower, pulling back into it, bouncing off it, right? They were overhead resistance. Once it broke above, came back, retested it, it acted as support, and then it bounced from there. So the number of touches along a trend line are very important, and the number of lines that crisscross are very important. So let me clear off these lines and show you why the USD CAD is at a very, very important level right now. If we go back and look here and draw this trend line across these points, one here, 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 okay, and it doesn't have to be right at the highs, it's more of a zone, okay, that you're looking for. But you can see that we're sitting right on that trend line right now, so it's acting as support. Also, if we take this low here and run it across, here, we also see that right there. So this point here, 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 and here, another very long or very strong level of support here, crisscrosses right at that same point right there. If we also look at a most recent high here and bring that across the highs, here, and here, because you need at least 2 points to draw a trend line. There it is, all crossing at the same area. Now, the fact that this is a monthly chart makes this even more significant. The higher the time frame, the stronger that area of support and resistance. Even if you had just 2 points on a line on a monthly, it would mean a lot more than, say, 3 points on or 4 points on a daily. Yet we have several areas of support and resistance here. In this case, support, because price is dropping into it here, that, you know, we can draw with a lot more than 2 touches along these lines, but you have several lines that are crossing each other all at the same area. So you have that very, very strong area of support. So there's a high likelihood that the USD CAD will bounce off this level and move higher, okay? But if it were to break through, that is extremely significant. So one of the easiest ways to play this is, just draw that horizontal line in that area. Obviously, if you get some sort of reversal signal here, you can play the bounce to new highs. And, you know, breaking a recent high would mean it would be a lot more significant as well. But if it breaks through, okay, you don't have to try to anticipate it here or try to jump in early and take additional risk, because this is a very strong level of support here. Wait for it to break through, and if it does, it will most likely retest that level. And it's at that point that you want to jump on this for a short trade right in there. All right, that's the conservative way of entering there. So keep in mind that you should always be aware of where your next level of support or resistance is. And to identify it, it's as simple as taking a trend line tool and attaching pivot highs and pivot lows and having a look at where those lines cross. Okay, I hope that helps. But that's about it for now. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you on our next update.